We're going to go over a few trades that we took today during New York session. So the first trade that I took and called out live for my members was a silver sell. So we had the significant high right here that got swept. We had overnight highs that got rated right here as well. And this was our 5 minute FU candle, this 5 minute order block, the last bullish candle, sweeping buy side liquidity before starting to shift back to the downside. On the 1 minute, we started getting a shift in structure to the downside. So, we had a little bit of internal liquidity, this little liquidity right there. So then right at the open, we pretty much wicked right into this 5 minute candle, pretty much no drawdown. And then my first target was this low and this low, where I had gone break even at that point. And this low was actually around a 2R right there. So I ended up taking profit at 2R here. And this thing actually kept just driving lower all the way about like a 4R trade if you held that thing. So very beautiful. My final target was going to be this London low, but I ended up just getting out with a 2R, took my bag, and then called it a trade right there. And then the second trade I took was on another account. I took an NQ buy off of the 2 minute. I was also bearish on indices going into today, but I wasn't able to catch a short because I was already in sells on silver. So eventually, once we did start take out lows, we took out London low right there. We started to accumulate, right? We got oversold and we started to move sideways, started to accumulate. So after we took out London lows, we had an internal low right there that we drove and took out right there, leaving behind a 2 minute inverse right there. Then we had a small little market structure shift, right? This lower high, lower low. We broke above that high right there, leaving behind that 2 minute inverse. And we eventually came back, retested that. That's where I got in on the buy, and I was just aiming for a quick 2R at these highs right there. And bang, that thing hit, smacked pretty fast. And if you did hold this, it was about like a 3.5R. But our exit was very nice. Again, I wasn't looking to take this very far just because we were pretty bearish today. So I want to, on this counter trend trade, I was just going to take it to that internal high and then take my bag. And then this thing actually ended up reversing and going even lower. And then the last trade I took was actually a break even trade. I moved my stop loss to break even a little bit too early, but it's kind of similar to NASDAQ. I was looking for a little, counter trend trade, just taking it to this internal high right here for about a 2R. This was my first target where I actually ended up going break even. So when we did have this first push up, I moved my stop to break even, and this is where I actually stopped out break even before this thing drove up higher. But my thought process on this was we had swept London lows, similar to NQ, right? We swept London low. We had an internal low that got swept. And then this was a 2 minute, 1 minute FU candle that I played out of. And, I was up on a few $100s on this. And then I moved to break even right here. And then that's when I got stopped, when I pushed down right there. And eventually this thing, ended up driving all the way to TP right there for about 2R. A little bit more if you held it past that. But again, solid exits right there. That's another thing. You don't always need to trade for the biggest RRs or try to swing every single trade. Go for those, 1.5, 2R trades. Get the dub, man. Those small wins are going to keep compounding and compounding. Honestly, I would say like your win rate matters more and is more important than having a big risk to reward, because what is the odds of you hitting a big RR trade every single time than hitting a lower R trade, right? Your win rate is going to go up. And when you approach it like this, especially with prop firms, this is what's going to allow you to stack your wins, compound those wins, and get to your payouts. So I think that's something that's very beneficial. Stop trying to swing for home runs and then keep getting those base hits. Because eventually you will hit a home run trade, but until that trade does happen, you never know. That's just kind of like the reality of trading. You never know the outcome of a single trade. It's all just a game of probabilities. So why not preserve and protect your capital and get those wins? And then when that home run wins comes, then amazing. But this is a game of protecting your money, protecting your capital, and that's how you're going to make it in this profit and future space. But those were the 3 trades I took: 2 W's, 1 break even. Pretty solid day. I believe I'm up like 1,500 on the day across a couple of accounts. And we have a bunch of red folders this week. So it should be a fun, very volatile week. Excited to see what kind of setups we get. It's only Monday, so starting off the week right. But that's it for this recap. I will see you guys on the next one. Peace.